All right. Welcome to the Path to Billionaire Success Stories, the podcast that takes you on a journey through the stories, strategies, and insights of remarkable individuals who have achieved greatness in their field. I'm your host, Ben Petrowski, and together we'll unravel the secrets, challenges, and triumphs that pave the way to success. Join us each week as we uncover the principles that can help you overcome obstacles, embrace change, and harness your potential. Get ready to be motivated, challenged, and empowered to embark on your very own path to success. Remember, success is not just a destination, it's a journey. So buckle up and get ready to explore. Today, I'm joined by Romeo Esperanza. You want to give the viewers a little insight about who you are, what you're doing, where you're at, things like that, your business, whatever you want to run down.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Ben Petruski. Yeah, my name is Romeo. It's actually Romeo Espinoza, no problem. What
Oh, sorry
Esperanza
about
means in Spanish is hope. So we all
that.
all have to have some hope. So
Yes,
yeah,
right.
but I'm 30 years old, single. Not that I'm advertising or anything, but I want to get to that in a moment. Is that I own a roofing company, a storm restoration company. We do insurance claims. And surprisingly enough, we do a lot of residential work, but because whenever you're dealing with insurance, residential can be pretty high margin. And for the past 3.5 years, I've built up my company where it's pretty much 80% automated. I can automate the material deliveries, the logistics, and even the referrals. I get a lot of referral-based customers, and so that's what I do right now. We do between 1.5, the highest I've done is 1.8 million, and which is really not a lot compared to really what the wealth is out there. But getting over seven figures my first time just really opened the door to bigger awareness, which is what I found out. Because at the end of the day, roofing isn't the end of the road for me, but it's basically the income vehicle of all the different things that I've sold over the past 5 years. It's the thing that has allowed me to create the most wealth and revenue, which in business, that's the name of the game, is a lot of revenue. And it's
Mhm.
allowed me to really build a name for myself and build equity in my business to where I can then leverage that into bigger deals. As right now, I'm starting to get into some real estate investing and some tech investing with a gentleman out of California. So that's pretty much how I can see myself quantum leaping into great success versus just growing through a linear fashion. Sure, I could hire 10 more salespeople, open up another office, but I've been studying more strategies on how to get into more high ticket sales, getting into bigger ticket items. And at the end of the day, I mean, this world is so short, we have to go for what we want.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. Well, first off, congratulations on the seven figure. Like that's huge. Like in the business world, even anywhere, like that's a huge milestone, a huge accomplishment. And
Thank
then
you.
to see that future, real estate is amazing. If you get the tech people that know a lot more, that's also another great investment option as well. So good
Yeah.
job. Good up. Like that's that's the only way to do it is to get yourself in a place to where in your field you're amazing, you're one of the top, and then you can start expanding and diversifying into different avenues to invest and make more money and stuff like that. So that's
Yeah.
awesome. That is awesome. So what does success mean to you personally? How do you define it?
I define success by setting goals that push you beyond your limit and achieving those goals and repeating the process. For
Right.
me, it's just that simple. Over the ever since I started studying Grant Cardone, back in the first time I invested with him was 2018. The first time I heard about him was 2016. But ever since I started on this self-help journey of 2016 till now, um, your success changes. I remember the first time I was like, my success is going to be getting good at sales. So I did that. I wasn't really good at sales. And then my success was I'm going to travel the world being a professional musician. I did that for about a year and a half. And then after that, when I got into the solar world, my definition of success is I'm going to network with some of the top people in solar. And I did that. And then whenever I started roofing, I told myself my goal, my definition of success is for me to make to sell at least two roofs a week. I didn't really know how to calculate numbers. I was like, you know what? At one point, one of my goals was I want to make 10,000 a month. And then with roofing, I was like, I just want to sell at least a very minimum one roof a week, just out there cold door knocking, no
Mm.
advertising, no nothing. And then that started happening. And then whenever the very, I started like halfway through the year 2020, just myself. I've never really scaled my company. Like I said, that hasn't been a goal of success for me, for example. And then at one point when I realized that I had, $250,000 in revenue in 4 months, I was like, you know what, next year I want to double that. Got to over 500. Then the year after that, doubled that, got to over 1 million, and so on and so forth. And this year was a little bit more stagnant, just because this year I decided to study more on investments. And I traveled, of course, where I met you in Dubai and everything. And that
Right.
takes time. And so, but I went to GrowthCon earlier this year, and that was another mindset shift on, well, how could I define success. When I went to GrowthCon, I said, hey, now that I can say that I've done over 1 million, what else can I do? And of course, you always want to be the smallest fish in the ocean. And when I was speaking with Brandon Dawson, they said, well, if you're only doing 1 million, you're so small. And I said, well, thank you. Now that I know that, now I can achieve bigger goals.
Right.
And but I won't do that just by selling one roof at a time. You'll have to get into other industries and do other quantum leaps that will allow you to really excel your income in a more geometric fashion. So that's really how I would define success is, you set goals that are beyond yourself and you go and achieve them.
Right. Very good. Very good. So it's safe to say that it's your definitions changed over time. It's evolved with you on this process that you've gone through.
Yeah, definitely. It really has. And I guess I base it off of experiences that I've had in life, because now that I can say I can define it off of experience, not so much off of theory. When you're first starting, you're like, oh, I want to make 100 grand a year, and that's like people's dream. And then you do that, and then you're like, wow, now I want to hit a 250,000. Now I want to hit 500,000, 1 million, 10 million, and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, when you scaled from the 250,000 to the 500,000 and to the million, was that all door knocking, no advertising, or did you start advertising to get to that growth?
Yeah. So it actually was advertised, and I probably put, maybe I was doing like $1,500 a month in leads, in paid leads. And out of
Okay.
those, just the quality of the lead was probably only a closing ratio of 30%. But we started paying that. I put it on automatic. I made that another goal, was I'm gonna invest as much in leads, with our door knocking. And of course, when the weather is, um whenever you learn how to balance your willpower whenever you're in this direct selling field. Of course you can
Mhm.
be out there door knocking, day in and day out, like I did the first year. But
Right.
afterwards, it's like a guy told me a long time ago, the whole reason you want to door knock is to not door knock. And so whenever I got it to, 500,000, and 3 years ago, I started paying with advertising. I said, I can afford $1,600 a month. I also paid a consultant to help me, what they call supplement, insurance claims, where you'll go and you'll be able to double the claim, or maybe raise the value of the claim by 20 to 30%, which can be another 3 grand, 4 grand, even 10 grand. And that of course raises your income. And so I did it that way. Some of it was door knocking as well, and just doing good work. We started getting referrals. And then another creative thing that I got was that, well, some of these leads aren't good, or I'm not gonna, honestly, I don't feel like door knocking today. I realized that I could get leads on Facebook pages, so I would start doing digital door knocking. I would go in there, and if I saw someone was posting something about a roof or something, I would say, hey, I would tag the person, hey, check your message requests. I would send them a message in their DMs, and with a lot of emojis, so that I could get their attention. So that was another income stream. So, and then last year I laid off of the advertising because there was more storms, and I just went out there and just did a bunch of door knocking. And at that point, I already had a referral base built up. So, and then the claims started getting bigger, so I could achieve more revenue with less jobs.
Right.
Hmm.
Nice. Yeah. So started attacking it from all different angles. So
Yeah, like, Grant Cardone says you have to be omnipresent, and commitment breeds creativity. I had to get creative some way or another.
right, right. Yeah, sometimes it's what it takes is just get down there and get dirty again. So,
Hmm.
what achievements or milestones have you accomplished that you consider successful moments in life?
Definitely getting out of my comfort zone. I grew up in East Texas in a small town called Kilgore, and I remember being on the swing sets by myself in the first grade saying, I just feel like there's a lot more to life. And so it's crazy, when I met Miriam earlier this year, I was like, I think that something that I've used in my life is visualization. Because I remember being on that swing set saying, I'm going to do something good in life. I just don't know what it is. And then when I was 10 years old, I found out that I was naturally good at music. So I started playing the bass at church and local bands. And I would tell myself, I just want to be a good musician to get paid for it. So I did. Then, whenever I turned 20, I had some friends in Dallas and they came to go perform in East Texas and they saw me play guitar a little bit outside before the show. And then I told myself, it'd be cool to go and perform in Dallas with these bands. And then 3 months later, I was. So another achievement of myself. And then I did that for about a year. Then I told myself, well, I really don't want to do music forever. I'm just another employee, and I'm a terrible employee. But I would like to live in Dallas and just have a job that pushes myself. And so my brother was going to school for engineering, and one of the tabletop presenters, they had an office, they had a sales agency, and they still do. I still know the guy. um, he said that he was selling different type of engineered products, and I just out of nowhere I asked him, hey, are you hiring? He said, I actually do need someone who speaks bilingual. So that was actually my foot in the door to actually move to Dallas and actually get a job here and get away from music and actually start building a sales career. But that was me just going green, no Grant Cardone, no Brian Tracy, nothing. But I knew
Right.
that I could build relationships because I could schedule I could schedule I would call on manufacturing shops and I would schedule with their production manager, whoever, and they would actually make time to see me. I wasn't just another peddler trying to sell them something. And so that was an achievement. And then more on the personal side, I had a long relationship that I just for some reason I always knew that wasn't going to work out, and I finally had the guts to break up with that girl, and it was great. I lost weight in the process, and that was good. And then another achievement was when I first started selling solar panels before I did roofing. Another achievement was that I had traveled to Phoenix actually to go to a real estate conference, and when I came back, some of the some of the local bands that I was helping, that was a little bit of my income, told me, hey Romeo, we actually don't need you no more. So I said, oh crap, what do I do now? It's do or die now. So I did, and I basically pushed myself, and I found out that whenever your back is against the wall, I found out that I didn't have the fear to go and push forward. And then, of course, when COVID happened, that's whenever we decided to go full time into roofing. And I told myself, well, the solar is a little bit, crazy. Let me get into roofing, and that was another achievement. And now just building my business and building it little by little every year is more of an achievement. I read a lot of I read books from different billionaires. Mark Cuban says, in his book he says every year in business was an accomplishment, because I went from counting how many months I was in business to finally I could count how many years. So so that's the thing. And now going to Dubai, that was another accomplishment. And really just pushing myself professionally. I like the sport of business. I like doing this commission only sales. Roofing is just one of many products, and it's a really roofless market, but I love it.
Right. No, and that's awesome. Like, you were building that brand for it to expand into whatever you want it to, and that's going to come off of you putting in that groundwork at the roofing company and
Mhm.
selling that product at a high level, and essentially building that referral base to where you can bring in real
Mm.
estate. Now you'll be able to do whatever, whether if you find that next tech thing that you want to be bring in, you can do that. And,
Yeah,
it's all going to go off of that wave of building the roofing company that way, which
yeah,
is
you're
awesome.
right. And it's almost like a resume. I didn't go to college, but
Exactly.
every year in business, whenever you can show tax returns and show your Google page, all your reviews and whatnot, then you can have different conversations with people. Like I met a guy, I sold one of my ladders the other just a few days ago. And I got a lot of people lowballing, hey, whatever, I'll give you like $150. I said, nope, nope, nope. And
Nope.
that's just part of that abundance mindset. Thankfully, I
Yeah.
don't have to sell it out of necessity, just the fact that we don't need it anymore. I
Right.
ended up selling it to a guy. He said, you know what, I'll give you a little bit extra to bring it to me to my gas station. He ends up being the owner of the gas station. And I end up speaking with him for about over an hour about, how it is to get into the gas station world and how his revenues are, asking him good questions and everything. And he told me, hey,
Right.
whatever you have that you think you could use a partner on, let me know. And it's good to have those invitational like relationships.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so like Grant Cardone says, your net worth is going to be about your network, and
Hmm.
just talking to people and getting to know them is critical. So,
Yeah.
it's things that people don't really do all that often anymore. And whether, they're out looking for something, where if you just go and talk to them, you'll probably find things more so than if you're out looking for it. So,
Yeah, that's true. And it really is a shift in a paradigm shift, especially I never went to go work for another roofing company when I started my roofing division. I just took my LLC and told my attorney, hey, give me a DBA, row cut roofing and solar. But when I got into roofing, I found out a lot of people don't have the confidence to go out there and build their own company. They'd rather go and be a salesman, which is fine. I mean, I was a salesman for a solar company. I didn't know how to build my own solar company, but with roofing, it just made sense to me, and I just went on it through instinct. And of course, you got people that are producing, 3, 4, or 5 million a year, 10, whatever, salesmen. But whenever you bring that down to their commission, 10, 20%, it's really not a lot. And one thing, like what Ty Lopez said back in the Grant at the Growth Con in 2019, he said, Ty Lopez said Charlie Munger says out of the 10 deadliest sins, 9 of them are fun, but don't envy. Never envy. There's always going to be someone that has more than you. So
right.
so so I basically took that and said, well, I may not, if I'm not showing it through revenue by working for another company or anything, I'm showing it through direct equity where it's my business, and you can see it in the filing of state of Texas filings that I'm the owner of this company, and I can use that as an equity transaction in the future.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You're planting those seeds for you, not for somebody else, and being an employee isn't bad. It's not the end of
Sure.
the world. Like, it's good to be an employee. Everybody needs good employees, but for for your mindset shift that you've gone through over the last few years, like, it's it's definitely good to see those fruits coming to fruition. You know what I mean? Like, you
Yeah.
put in that work, you put in that time, and now you get to see some of that. And, it's
Yeah.
awesome to
Yeah.
see
It's
that.
hard work, but it's worth it.
It's worth it. It's worth it. It's all hard work, whether you're doing it building your own company or you're working for somebody else. You're still working hard. Like,
Yeah.
so it's having the confidence in yourself to take that chance is where that critical turning point is. So,
Yeah, that's paramount to have confidence. Like right now, if a few fires that I have to put out, I mean, confidence is when confidence is what's going to get you past it, so you can put them out with elegance, and it's funny. I always tell people, look, I'm when I'm speaking to insurance adjusters or homeowners that are super skeptical, I tell them, look, don't think I'm one of those old school asshole contractors that are just going to try to cuss their way through something, but I'm here to understand you. I tell people I come from a sales background, not from a labor background. So customer service is important to me. I don't have to advertise it. I hope that you see it by the time we're done with this project. And same thing whenever we have issues, I tell people construction isn't perfect, but name one thing that's perfect and you're not going to find it. It's plus the real value, that I've told people, and I've seen it for myself. The real value is that when you do have an issue, how you handle it. And if you handle it with class, that's actually how I've gotten actually a lot of my referrals is, after we had an issue, they saw how we handled it right to the point, and boom, a week later, a month later, hey, I got your Romeo, hey Romeo, I got your number from such and such. They say that you do great work. And I'm like, Yes, we do actually. So how can I help you? And so
Right, because you can't expect everything to be perfect. You try. Like that's the thing is you're trying to make sure that every job is done right, perfect. But
Mhm.
things happen, and like you
Yeah.
say, it's a matter of how you handle those situations when they come out.
Yeah.
What role do you believe that luck or timing has played in your success?
Man, that's a good question because I always tell my little sister and some of the girlfriends that I've had, I'm like, man, I have good timing. I don't know if you this happens to you, but if you ever go to Target or Walmart or anywhere and you always find a parking spot at the very beginning, at the very front,
Right.
so that happens to me a lot. And sometimes we'll be going to Walmart or something and a car is barely pulling out and I pull right in and I'll tell my little sister, look, they were waiting for me. Or a car, they're barely loading up the groceries and I'll tell my little sister, look, they must have gotten late in line, but they know I'm here, so I'll just wait. So but timing, I play the bass guitar, so I know how to keep timing, but I don't know. It's luck and time. It's like they told me a long time ago, the harder you work, the luckier you get. And it's like a transcendental grace that you receive in a divine fashion that I'm a God believer, and I believe that if you actually are working towards something good that actually benefits humanity, God will put things in your path at the right time, knowing that you're going to have the awareness to recognize them and act on them. So, for example, whenever like back when I was still living in East Texas, and my buddy who was playing guitar for this band said, "Hey, we're out here waiting to go on stage. Why don't you come chill?" I went. I wasn't doing anything, and I grabbed the guitar, played a few strings, and that was it. And 6 months later, my cousin who was in another band said, "Hey, the band over there, they want you in their band." And I went for it. I said, I'm in, let me go practice with them. And I'm in. We settled just a small little handshake contract and we did it. And then whenever I moved to Dallas, my brother told me, hey, I'm gonna have a tabletop engineering show. Why don't you come? And I said, you know what? Something tells me that I should go. So I left work a day early because when I was in East Texas, I used to work at the airport as a maintenance guy. And I would work at O'Reilly Auto Parts. So I was a hard worker, but I was like a busy bee. And I told the people over there, I told them, hey, I won't be here Thursday. I went and I took that shot and I moved to Dallas a month later. And so that was luck, I guess. The fact that I was in a position to take that opportunity, but it was also because I had worked for it in a way or another. So that's where the timing comes in. So luck and timing, it's definitely been a good asset to my path, and I'm pretty sure it will continue to be.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like you're putting in the work to get that luck and timing that though. It's not just falling in your lap.
Yeah.
You're continuing on the path and doing the things that you need to. So it sounds like you're deserving of those things falling in your path. So,
Yeah, definitely. Like, well, Grant Cardone says, everything happens. It doesn't happen to you; it happens because of you.
because of
So,
you. Right.
yeah.
Yep. Yep. That is true. So what about a setback? Does one setback come to mind that you've had that you've on this journey?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, I remember when I was working at that manufacturing sales job, like almost 2 years into it, I actually ended up getting fired because I carry a pistol in my vehicle. So we went to go visit Lockheed Martin, an aircraft manufacturer, but I was oblivious to the fact that it was inside of a military base. And
Oh,
so whenever we got there to the gate, the officers were like, "Hey, park up there and turn the car off and open all the doors." And I said, "All right." And I had to sit there while they found my pistol and they pulled my boss outside and basically talked to him. And then later that evening, my boss fired me. But it was a thing. It was a long time coming because the oil market had gone down in 2015, and it was 2016, early 2016 when this happened. And I hadn't gotten a raise in over a year, so I wasn't really motivated to be there. And so that was, I would almost say, I was going to say this was a setback, but I still remember being there in his office and telling him, you know what, you're right. I should leave because I've been working like almost double hours with all the traveling I do. I don't get paid anymore, and there's really no financial and motivate incentive for me to be here. So honestly, I think it's right that you downsize your company, and I hope that we can see each other in the future. And he was surprised when I said that. And then this was what, 2016. And then three and a half years later, in November of 2021, we replaced his roof. So it was a small world. So that was that.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah. Another
that's
setback, I was in this long relationship for a long time, over 8 years. I could just tell it was holding me back. And whenever I finally let go of that individual, I had to go through a big personal change, and my focus was just off. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't selling solar or anything yet, but I wasn't selling anything at all. And I was like, man, what do I do with my life? I just feel like all this time wasted. But I got past that, got clarity, and then that's when I went to Phoenix and came back and everything. So that was a setback, but that was the comeback at the same time. And then in business here with roofing, I've had a few setbacks. I've had a few customers that decided not to pay me and stuff like that. We haven't gotten into any litigation, thanks to God. I haven't done anything to provoke any lawsuits or nothing. I always settle things with the homeowners. But even things like that, those small setbacks, it all goes back to I wouldn't trade this for a job anyways. I mean, I could get a job as a construction manager and make 80K a year, 120 a year gross, and then they're going to take 25% out for Social Security that's underfunded anyways.
right.
But even now, if I can scale my way up to over 1 million, and at very minimum, if I'm only hitting 1 million, then if I'm losing, 2 or 3 grand, I just have to take that as part of doing business. At the end of the day, I still make more than if I was just working a regular management job.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So yeah,
Yeah.
they hurt, of course, you get the customer to sign a 5-page contract, and some people just feel like they're above the law, but it all goes back to that transcendental grace. I mean, if this is something that's going to happen to me in my business, God is delivering this person into my life for a reason, and it's
Right.
my job to trust him that it will take me to something better.
Right. Yeah. And that's what you find that driving force, that thing that true north for you, whatever it is, for different people, it's different things, and that's what you stick to, your morals. You stay authentic to those morals, and that's just what you do, and everything else works out. Everything else.
Yeah.
So, do you think there's a connection between failure and success?
Oh, definitely. This book I read, called Your First 100 Million, it says a guy came up to me one time and asked me, how do I achieve massive success? He says, double your failure rate, son, double your failure rate. Failure is your biggest teacher. There's a movie that I watch. I don't really watch a lot of action movies, but the Batman trilogy from Chris Nolan, the third movie, Batman Rise, Dark Knight Rises. There's a part where Bruce Wayne is down in the pit, and this blind man is telling him, why do you keep failing? And then Bruce Wayne um, because I don't want to fail. And and then the blind man says, well, it's fear. That's why you fail. How can you achieve, how can you fight longer than possible, endure more pain than possible, achieve more than possible without the biggest impulse of the spirit, the fear of death? If you have fear of death, you make the jump and you make the climb without the rope, and fear will help you get there. And so he does. So he goes up there without the safety rope and makes the jump, and whatever, the trumpet music, and everything. But failure and success, failure is success. You have to fail to, like me, I've failed. I failed in this relationship that I had, and I failed. When I thought I could, different things that I sold. I was like, oh crap, I'm not good at selling this or whatnot. Um, and if I don't close a deal, I fail. But failure is supposed to be your friend. I mean, if you look at people who make the biggest, the biggest investors in the world, I mean, they bet it all and they lose money, but then they turn back around and they build their equity and their wealth back up. You have to fail to achieve success. If you're not failing, you're really not pushing yourself, and that's like that's the big ego with especially people like me, young Hispanics, that our parents try to tell us, hey, we're going to go to USA, y'all are going to get a college degree and have a good life. But if you take the failure out of something because you're trying to get straight A's and everything, then you're just going to be a mindless employee, and you're going to wake up one day, you're going to be 40, 50 years old, and you're going to realize that you're unhappy with yourself, and that's the biggest failure right there, and that you don't have the skill set to build yourself back up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Without that job, you don't have anything. So,
yeah.
like, wow. It's it's a great, I definitely agree with that. You have to fail faster in order to be successful quicker, so
Yeah.
it's, it's things that people don't really talk about as those failures. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go and advertise people and say, "Oh, look, I didn't get,
Right.
I got
Right.
screwed around." But that's just you work in silence, and your resilience does the talking for you.
Yep. It does. That's for sure. So, all right, Romeo, how do you maintain a work-life balance while on this path for success?
You don't have a life. That's how I do it. No, I don't really have a. I've never really been much for a social life. Yeah, I've got a few buddies here and there, but and even then, I play in this music band on the weekends, and that's kind of an after hours thing. But that's like a paid party. I tell people, look, I'll go party if I'm getting paid, if I'm on stage or something. But as far as social life, I socialize with my guys, my workers, and everything, with customers. I build authentic relationship with customers. But I don't really go out. Just my little sister lives here in Dallas with me now, and my brother lives with me, and we kind of just stick to ourselves. I'll read a book at night or something, or I'll hop on Cardo and you, or we'll go eat just as a family. But as far as the social life, I'm not really an athlete, so I don't really go out, and I'm not part of the local soccer team or anything. I didn't even make JV when I was in high school, so and and as far as like going to drink and everything, I'm not really that big of a drinker. When I socialize, I go to networking events, and that's pretty much it. That's when I'll go and have a drink with some people and everything, or going to Dubai or going to GrowthCon. That's probably the extent of my socializing. But other than that, it's just waking up, following up, and going out there getting more deals or doing jobs while being on the job, project managing a little bit, and if it's like 8 or 9 o'clock at night, I'll do some follow up. I'll be like, hey, if you're asleep, you'll wake up to this message, blah 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 about your roof, and that'll
Right.
be a creative avenue. But that's pretty much it. On every 2 weeks or so, I'll go to East Texas because my mom still lives out there, and my dad works out of town. So, my little sister, she's in school right now, so she'll go out there for like 2 or 3 days a week. Then my mom will come take her over there. I'll go pick her up. So that's pretty much all I do as far as socializing. And then I bought some property out there, so I'll go and check up on that property.
Okay. Very, very
Yeah.
good. So, yeah, I've had so many different answers on that question right there. It varies all over the place. So
Yeah.
it's great to see where people's mindsets are on that, so
Yeah.
because you have your work-life balance, but what a lot of people don't give credit to is all of it intertwines. Like you may not have that separation, but your
Hmm.
work life rolls over to your guys, your customers, and things like that. So it's
Yeah.
building those relationships and keeping them healthy for long term. So it's
Yeah.
good. Has there ever been a time that you felt like you were successful but just weren't recognized for it, and how did you handle that?
Yeah. Well, being like a musical prodigy, and I've never advertised my music. There was a point in time where this was like back in 2017, where I was with this band that we were getting funded by an investor and traveling the country and everything. And I knew that I was good at this music that we play, and I could play pretty much all the instruments, and we were in the studio, and I could correct everyone, and everyone liked the finished product, but it wasn't selling, and I could see that, and I could tell that the investors and the investors kids, they were like, well, anybody's replaceable anyways. And that's when I realized, I'm like, wow, this is just not for me. Then I'm I might be good at music, but if I'm not getting appreciated for it, then I really don't have any business being here. And that's when I decided that's when like that weekend I got onto I hopped onto a Grant Cardone How to Become a Millionaire webinar, and I paid for his ambassador program, and I only had like $100 left, but I did not hesitate at all and everything. So that's one of the times where I felt like I wasn't really appreciated for my work. And then of course whenever we do jobs for customers that are being difficult, or they decide that they decide that we're working for a nonprofit or something, you know, of course you're doing all this good work and you don't get appreciated for it. And but you have to develop your tough skin, and you just like Mark Cuban says in his book, you know, the only thing you can do is, you know, you have to get back to work. You know, whatever's done is done. You know,
Right.
spending time on I'm going to get even with you, or I'm going to go and come after you is just a waste of effort that could be invested into getting more deals.
Right. Right. You're spending so much energy on something that's not going to benefit you. You might as well spend that energy on something that will.
Yeah, and it's just like they say in investing, you know, people that work in the investing world, you know, you have to cut your losses and focus on your winners.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. So, um, how do you measure the progress towards your goals?
Um, Well, I mentioned it just by revenue. If I'm setting a monetary goal, if I'm not hitting that monetary goal, then obviously I'm not being successful at it. But at the same time, I measure it as, you know, what are my goals? You know, like three and a half, almost 4 years ago, my goal was like, hey, I'm going to grow this roofing company and be the best in the world at it. And now I could continue to do that. I could, you know, just do all out just roofing and nothing else, eat, sleep, you know, breathe roofs. But one of my goals this year was, you know, I want to meet more wealthy people. I want to know what is it that they do to invest. You know, how is it that some people can start from zero and they're worth 100 million in the next 12 months? You know, what are they doing? You know, if they work in the same 24 hours as I do, then that means that they're working in a whole different income field, and I want to know more about it. So that's
Right.
been one of my goals, is to take more risks on taking bigger investments, and not just sitting on my capital, or what they say. I don't want to just be sitting on my assets, but, you know, deploying it out there, and seeing the return, and playing with those, you know, playing with the big boys, like they say. And like down here in Texas, you know, you go out there and you play with the, you know, hunt with the big dogs and pee in the tall grass. That's the only way you're going to do it, is by getting around people who are doing it.
Yep. Yeah. That's true. Like getting around the right people just changes everything. You know, like you said earlier, you want to be the small fish in the big pond, where you can learn so much more from being in that situation. So
Yeah. Yeah, and it's amazing what you learn when you actually make the effort to build a relationship with someone who has a net worth in the billions. You know, there's a guy the guy who's doing the tech investment. He's like from California, and I can send him a message on Facebook and he'll answer. And that's another goal of mine, was like, you know, I want to have more relationships with billionaires, and really find out what is it, how do they think, and
right.
they're 100% different than millionaires.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's just completely different mindset. Like they've
Mm.
opened up so many other doors in their mind that you just don't even realize are there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's actually a really good goal to set and to foster into a great relationship with a future
Yeah.
whatever investor, business partner, even just friend. So that's awesome. How important is goal setting to achieving success?
It's paramount, really. The whole point of your existence is to, like I said, set goals that allow you to be all that you can be, and push yourself beyond your current awareness, and do take daily action to achieve them. So if you're not, and that's the whole thing that I have against pretty much everyone else my age in my family. They're all college. They are all about college and everything. And, you know, I've learned not to try to judge them or try to say, what are y'all doing? Y'all are like wasting money. But I just observe, and even now, whenever I have customers that are being difficult, I could be an a-hole, and I could tell this person, look, what the heck are you even worried about if you're just an average human being who never did anything with your life? That's kind of what goes on in my mind. But I always have to tell myself that, and I tell the customer, I accept full responsibility for whatever's happening here. What can I do for you so that we can resolve this matter? We move on and everything. Um, the about goals, people like that, they never set goals, and now look how they're living. They're in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and they're just bitter, and I don't want to do that. And then my little cousins who are, cousins my age that are in college, they've basically canceled out their creative mind and said, "Hey, I'm just gonna whatever the college syllabus is, I'm gonna follow that because that's the path to success." But there's no creativity, so and you really can't have goals if someone's trying to set every stone in front of your next footing. Your goal
Right.
should be your goal
Right.
should be something that you really don't even know how you're gonna get there yet. But then you put in enough work, then I don't know where you realize a year later, wow, I've stepped past that goal.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. You can't have the path to your goal set out by somebody else. It won't lead to where you want it to. So
Yeah.
that's for sure. So, what are some practices that you do that you believe contributed to success?
Well, definitely studying card on you, studying sales, being a more educated salesman, um, doing what Grant Cardone says, writing your goals, watching the training, reading books. But the most important attribute is just action, taking the action. Even if it's just, knocking doors for 4 hours today, that's going to be your action. Then after that, I'm going to go to a networking event and I'm going to meet someone that I can actually do deals with. That's another action to be. You have to be in the game to take the action. So that'd be, and you kind of just keep it simple. You train yourself, become more of an educated salesman, and you write your goals. What is it that you really want? And then you go act on them. That's really that simple.
Right. And that's just it, is you find those things that work and you continue to do them just over and over again. So
Yeah. Repetition, repetition, and repetition.
exactly. Yeah. Have you ever faced any imposter syndrome or self-doubt on your journey?
Oh, definitely. I'm actually not familiar with what imposter syndrome is, but I tried to research it the other day, but self-doubt, definitely there's like what Grant Cardone says in his Seller Be Sold book. It's like, so what does the salesman really do when you're just getting whacked all day? But you have to just keep going. And then, like, in Mark Cuban in his book, it's, there's days where I just didn't want to be alive. I didn't want to get out of bed. I just wanted to crawl back into my hole. But that's part of, like, the failure. Like, if you fail to wake up motivated, then you have to work despite your feelings. So self-doubt, of course, and of course, and then whenever you're in a field and you're over here doing a bid, someone else, roofing is a relentless market. You're out there, you think you have a customer, then the customer says, "Hey, we're going with someone else." That creates some self-doubt, like, what was it that why was I not good enough? Or, what happens sometimes whenever it's like shark infested waters out here. You'll go and you'll sign the preliminary agreement with the customer. You put your sign in their yard, then you help them file the claim. Then a month later, they stopped answering the phone. You do what every good salesman does. You go and follow up in person, and you find out that their roof was already done. So it's like, what the heck? What did this other stranger do to go home with my money?
Right.
And and but it all goes back to, like, what I said earlier, that creates a definition. Do you really have the guts to keep going, or are you going to fall and fold under pressure? Are you going to, like, one of my cousins, he sold for me for about a year. He was, like, all in debt, oil field laborer, doesn't have any sales experience, and he went out there and made some nice deals. But he basically just caved in under the pressure, and now he's back working oil field, and he'd rather go out there and get paid by the hour working in the intense cold or in the intense heat, instead of coming out here to door knock for or make a few cold calls for 8 hours a day.
Right.
So now that's self-doubt right there. And but yeah, and whenever I realize that, whenever I go into certain neighborhoods, and I realize that people don't want to talk to me for whatever reason. That gives me some self-doubt. But despite all the self-doubt, that's what I remind myself, well, I don't have a choice but to keep going, because I do have an uncle who's a part owner in an oil field company, and he's got a nice house out in East Texas. He's got a good thing going for him. And um he told me one time, he said, Romeo, y'all have everything. We brought y'all over here to the US for opportunity and everything. And there's no reason that you should be moseying around or being lazy. I mean, there was times where he told me there was times where me, I didn't have any English yet, and I was out there having to work in like the blistering cold, and I was hungry, but my kids were hungry, my wife was hungry, and I had to feed them, and I had to forget about me for a second. And that really hit me. Whenever he said I had to forget about me, and I just had to keep going. And I experienced that actually last year. I was dating this girl, and I had gotten her pregnant, and it was an accident, but I told her, you know what, we're gonna go through with this, whatever. Um and uh and then at the same time, out in East Texas, this guy that I knew back in high school, he said, hey, we just had hail. Why don't you come check my roof? And from there, I was out there in East Texas door knocking until like 10 p.m. on some days. I was out there just going at it and going at it. I was like, shit, I got a baby on the way. I got to make this happen. And
Right.
so I
Right.
did, and so I did a lot of deals and everything. And of course, long story short, we didn't end up having the baby, and we shook hands on our relationship, and that was that. Um, but but uh but that's pretty much another thing where I had to come up with where I had to really face myself in the mirror and say, what are you really made of, and are you gonna just go and let the day defeat you, or are you gonna go and like give it all you have?
Right. Yeah. What's your path? Which path are you choosing to go down? So,
Yeah.
um, has the success that you've had so far brought you the fulfillment that you expected?
In a way, yeah. Because I remember whenever I got into sales, the fact that I could stand on my own 2 feet and just not have to rely on a day job, that brought me fulfillment. The fact that I'm just a small town kid making it here in the big city, because I know a lot of people my age that work in construction, but the reason they work in construction is because they work with their dad, or they work with their uncle, or they work at their family company. So, and me, it's just me by myself, and whatever I've built for myself, nobody can really take it away. Or and I don't and sometimes I'll post on my story, I'm like, look, here I am getting deals just by my own closing ability. And a lot of these people, I see them whenever I'm out in these music performances, because they also play music, or they go and they watch the bands that I play, that I associate with, and
Mhm.
they know that I'm in the game, in the construction game. But I speak my mind, and I'm just a country boy. I'm not gonna stay quiet for anybody. And so um so what was the question again? I'm sorry.
Um, which one did I ask? Oh, I don't even remember which one. Oh, fulfillment. Has success brought you the
Oh yeah,
fulfillment?
yeah. Fulfillment. So yeah. So the fact that I know that I can build something for myself, that brings me fulfillment. But you don't get satisfied whenever you know that God is calling you to do something bigger and better. You're not going to sit there. I mean, I know plenty of people that are like this. They'll hit 500 grand a year or whatever, or they'll hit a million or 800,000, whatever, and or they'll even hit 5 or 10 million, and they think they're on top of the world, buying brand new trucks, getting bigger houses. But for me, the name of the game is exactly what we're talking about here, path to billionaire. I mean, if you're not really striving to be a billionaire, then you're in a way, I believe you're just kidding with yourself in the name of the game of entrepreneurship. Because if Grant Cardone says millionaire is a new middle class, then that means just, regular self-help is a new college, and then billionaires are always going to be that one step ahead of you. And if you're just settling for a millionaire position, then you're just going to be left behind with the tide. And like Grant Cardone says, you're going to be part of the new middle class. And so that's why for me, it is fulfillment knowing that I've gotten this far, but it's also fulfillment knowing that I have the confidence to go even further.
I love that. That's that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
powerful right there. Because You know, it's one thing to get to that goal, but to be hungry enough to keep going is where a lot of people just fall short. And knowing that billionaire is just another step, another level to where you can be able to just do so much more for whoever you want to and whatever you want to do. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be great. Yeah. How do you celebrate your successes? Do you have any rituals, anything that you do that when you do something great? When
Yeah. I go out to eat. Really, that's it. I love food.
love food
Like I
too.
said, so I'm single right now, so I can't really say that like I used to. I'll take my girlfriend out or something, but my little sister lives with me, so I'll tell her, look, I just closed a deal. Let's go eat some food. Let's go eat some nice tacos or something, or I'll go back home and I'll tell my mom, hey, don't cook today. I'm gonna take you out to dinner. I had a good week at work or something. And but I think for me the most success that I do to celebrate myself is educating on myself on what investment opportunities I can act on, and just stacking my cash so I can deploy them and see that grow.
There you
So
go.
that's actually another form where I celebrate, is knowing that, hey, if I just made another 10 grand on this deal, or wherever I made another like 3 grand on this cash deal, I'm going to reserve that, and I'm going to deploy that either into this real estate investment that I have, or a tech investment that I'm getting into, and just really go all in if you need to, because that's another thing that I learned from this guy from California is you have to develop the habit of going all in. And whenever I get on YouTube and I study financial biographies on investors and everything, you'll find that they've all had the willpower to go all in. They've probably lost it all, but here they are. You can Google them up. You can Google their net worth. They're billionaires, they're multimillionaires, and and it's like this guy from California says. He says, if I see something that I believe in, I'll bet it all on the house again. If I have to go homeless again, I'll go homeless, because I know that I can build my wealth up again the next day.
Right. Right. Yeah. Once you do it once, it's easier the second time. Like you know what it took to get to that point, so you're not having to do the learning curve to get back to that
Yeah.
station in life. So, all right. Last question here, sir. What advice would you give to somebody who's just starting on their journey to success?
Man, that's the advice I give my little sister. Well, first of all, write your goals, just write what you really want. Even if you don't really know how to write your goals like strategically, just get into the habit that you have goals, because where most people are is that they just live in an oblivion. They just live on the fact that someone told them that after high school they're going to get a job, they're going to go to college, then they're going to get married. So they kind of already had their life planned out. They really don't have room for goals. So my advice would be just get into the habit of really just sitting there and visualizing what it is that you want. Start reading books on business, sales, get around the Grant Cardone community, get around people, start networking with other people that are like you, also starting out. You're going to be your peers, you're going to be helping each other walk, but also push yourself to meet people that are beyond you, because those are the people that are going to show you what's possible, and they're going to give you the confidence to actually go out there and take action to scale your way up there.
Yes. Very good. That's great advice. Would you like to give anybody your contact info, or company name, anything that if they need to reach out to you, they're able to?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, we're friends on Facebook and on Instagram. I'm Hey Romeo 10X. On Facebook, I'm Romeo Espinoza. My company is Row Cut Roofs out of Dallas, Texas. So you can find me there. You can Google my company, Row Cut Roofs, or Row Cut Roofing. I'm on LinkedIn. So we have a good social proof, and you can call the 844 number that's on there, 844-977-1380. And I live here in the Dallas Fort Worth area. This is where we do a lot of our business, and we work all over Texas. We've gone to Oklahoma a few times, and I'll probably be traveling out east a little bit to go network with some of the people that I met on Dubai, and see what we can do. And I'll be going back to Dubai and see what kind of construction investments opportunities are out there as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Sounds good. I definitely appreciate you taking the time, Romeo. And I'll put all the contact info in the show notes here for you.
Yeah, definitely do that, Ben. And thank you so much for reaching out and doing this for everybody. I think it's important that we all express our story to one another.
I agree. I definitely agree. Thank you again.
All right, you have a good evening.
Yes.